Hi folks, back in the workshop. Today we're going to hopefully get one step closer to getting these cabinets done. They need backs, they need shelves, and they need legs. So we're going to get straight onto that. Now folks, before I show you how we got to this stage behind me, I would love it if you could subscribe to the channel and make sure you click that bell symbol. Then you won't miss any of the DIY goodness. But let's get stuck back in to the workshop project. We need to get our workbench up again. I think we should be able to fit it in, just. There were a bunch of questions about the workbench last time round. I featured it in a previous video, but if you didn't see that, basically this is called a centipede. It's made by a company called Bora. They are very expensive for what they really are, but they're also very, very handy. And then what I did is I made up these. Some people just use just an insulation board or just a full-size board on here, but by laminating a bit of thin ply onto the insulation board, we've got a sacrificial top, which when we use a track saw we need, because the blade goes through the board we're cutting and it needs something underneath to both support the workpiece and also to make the dust extraction work effectively. You really need something below so the sawdust isn't going down the gap like it would with a circular saw, making a mess and getting airborne. It's got nowhere to go down, so it has to go out through the dust port. Okay, so that's all our 9mm ply in. Now it is slightly different, although it matters for this project. B&Q and Wix obviously have different suppliers. All of this stuff comes out of China, but the grain is pretty different most of the time. So if you're going with one, stick with one. You'll notice I haven't been doing much filming from this side of the room because sorry, state of affairs behind me, but we're working on it. We're working on it. So we're going to cut our 500mm unit. Okie dokie, we've got our 3 500mm cabinets done and the meter one, which means we need to somehow get a 500 and our short dumpy 800 mitre saw cabinet. One thing I really want to do is put together a video on tools I never thought I needed, but I wouldn't live without now. This little thing, a little Ryobi 18 gauge nailer, is insanely helpful for anything from temporarily tacking bits through to fitting skirting and architraves. And this with glue and adhesive is surprisingly strong, even though the little brads are tiny. This and that little leaf blower are really, really helpful tools. Anyway, we'll do that in a future video. I've got 2 more small cabinets and 1 biggie left. I'm checking them before I put the backs on. So where needed, I'm just clamping corner to corner to pull it in square. So it's 861. 859. So we just need to, there's a little bit of give. So behind me is the last of the cabinets. It's 1 meter wide. And for that reason, I've put a centerpiece in. Just means that our doors can close against it. I can put, if I put shelves in there, I can put a support on the back of here. Hopefully it's just going to make it a bit more rigid. Right, now we need to move on to our feet. Now you might be wondering, why on earth am I not just carrying the cabinets all the way down to the ground with the plywood sides, and then I wouldn't have to mess around with these plastic feet. Now there's a few reasons, but mainly because not all floors are flat. In here we spent a long time getting it smooth and level, and we would have got away with it. But the future workshop spaces that I'm going to have to move these to, I have no idea what those floors are going to be like. One, they're going to be bumpy and lumpy and sloped, and I want everything level, so we can obviously adjust these accordingly. But also they could be damp, they could be, you know, an old garage or a barn or a stable. For that reason, these are another good option. So between these, getting a nice clear coat on here, they should be fairly stable in whatever environment we move to. These are kind of egg-shaped, so the pointed extension section needs to go underneath the side panel, because any of the force on top from tools, worktops, climbing on top of them, is going to be coming down here. And because this is fixed into the side of it, we want to make sure that that is bearing down on the legs as well. So this kind of shape allows it to span both sections, so everything is evenly put down onto the legs. Casters will be more for the standalone bench tools. They'll be mounted to the cabinets on casters, and we can move it around when we need to. These are for a fixed workstation. But this is how we're looking at here. We've got all the cabinets done. I'm going to give them a little sand out here. Of course, the actual ply face is pretty good, but all the cut edges just need a quick rub over. Okay, so our legs are on now, or the base bits. I've set them back 70 millimeters from the front, so that when we've got a plinth or a kind of board at the bottom, that it'll give us about 50 mil toe gap underneath, and the back ones are just 50 mil off the back. So they're all spaced nicely, and the reason I've put them on first is because I want to just paint this water-based varnish on as quick as I can, and it makes sense to be able to paint the bottom, flip it over, and it can just sit on these just like spacers, and we can get on and do all of it in one hit rather than waiting for bits to dry. At the moment I'm trying to get through all the stuff that I've got left over. I've got some clear water-based varnish, it's external, dries in minutes, and this will be fine. There's not much here though. Good news is found some more varnish. Same stuff, it's just the interior version, so it'll be fine. Always throws me a bit when it's always so white and pink in this case. Hopefully that's going to dry clear. our cabinets are done. Like I said, they're going to dry in minutes, so that gives us a chance to leave them outside and free up some space. We need to clear everything from that table saw in the corner, which never gets used because it's just simply inaccessible, all the way to that corner. While I'm at it and mid-podcast, I'm listening to Making It at the moment. Just a quick reminder, the Isotunes link is always in all of our videos, will be down in the description, and the code, and that gives you £10 or $10 off any of the products. And you've probably seen that, as well as the ones I've bought over the years, I've also been sent a bunch. So I'm kind of, if you need any advice on which model to go for, give me a shout. Basically, ever since I bought the big ones, the over-ear ones, I tend to go to them first because they're the only ones I can ever find. Right, stop putting stuff over there, Tim, because you're just going to have to move it again. Let's get this bad boy out of the way. Yeah, it's just the charger. Thank you. These are really, really easy DIY build sawhorses, but there are just so many uses for them. Exhibit A, just a temporary workbench, but of course I use these for timber framing and all sorts. But there is a link on how I made those. It would have been back in probably January, February. Oh, I wonder where that had gone. That was out of my grandma's pantry. So before I actually designed these to be more like a kitchen cabinet, I was going to have them so they sat up on our sole plate there on the top of that beam. Then I would have just had to put an extended foot on the front just by putting a timber before the leg. That would have worked, but of course it makes it very bespoke to this building, which is not the requirement anymore. Most of the time these legs come with a little tiny part of the moulding that sticks up, so you can start off with them pretty much the same, and then we can fine tune them once they're in. It should allow for a 150 plinth to go in. So I haven't made a mistake here. This is intentionally 100mm lower than the others, simply because the bed of my miter saw will then be flush with the top of the worktop that goes on here. Definitely the new scrap wood bin. Now remind me how I lock this down. Not that one. Too many freaking levers, man. That's the stop. No, should be alright, it's not going anywhere. This thing is so heavy. This is not the sort of saw you'd be just popping it up to the bedroom to cut some architrave. The architrave comes to it. Nice pile of instructions. We're getting somewhere now. Another old kitchen unit here, but this one works really well. It just happens that most things fit in it. This is just about the only part of the workshop which is remotely organised. This is my measures and monitors and measuring stuff. Right, 30mm screw should do it. So we basically want one of them level, and we'll level the rest off that. Do we go up or down? Go up. It's going to be beautiful. Beautiful video this. Stirring my arse. I think we're just about there. Just about level. I mean, those legs are definitely going to be strong enough. They take granite worktops. I've just put a screw in the back here, a screw in the back there, just into those two beams. because for now I'm just going to be using that as our wall. More storage in our kitchen. Right, this was cut well before I had a track saw or knew how to use the circular saw very well, so I'm going to straighten up the front, give us a nice clean edge to work on. So at my point now, I'm just going to cut this notch. At the moment, I've got a 10cm overhang at the front. Now, I want to have 18mm doors on here, and realistically, I probably want to have a bit of an overhang to clamp stuff to, potentially. So I don't really want to take too much off. Maybe if we notch 50mm out the back, it'll just give me a little bit less overhang at the front. Be the first test of our cabinets, won't it? Right, we're officially rummaging through the scrap piles now. This one is fitted but not screwed in. I've given it a quick sand, but there's so many marks, and I was doing metal work and stuff on it, so it's got burn marks. I'm not going to be precious about it, but I've cut an offcut that's going to go in there. But remember, we made this exactly 100mm lower than here, so this worktop needs to be the same. So for the time being, just to test out for today, going to pack it up. That's it. I think I'm out of time now. Got to go and get dinner on. So I spent 6 hours on it today, so 6 to 11 hours, so a long day and a little bit to get all of this built. So the cabinets were in the last episode, but they're 18mm standard construction, I would say. We've used pocket holes. We've done shelf pins ready to sit our shelves into. I haven't done anything in this one because I'm hoping that our extractor will fit in there, possibly. And then the mitre saw is awesome. I love how that's worked out. Dust extraction, we're going to have space to go off there, and we can do a bit of collection behind it, but typically it's just going to fall down the back, and we'll vacuum it up once every now and then. So far we have used 2 sheets of 18mm ply, 1 sheet of 9mm, and then we've got that offcut we used for the top. I've done 1 coat of varnish, just a water-based quick dry varnish on them. It really needs another couple of coats. I will probably spray that, not in here. I'll wait till if we relocate in the future, I'll do it at that point. For now, it's nice and dry in here. Legs worked out fine. But I had to buy a pack of 40, so that added a bit of cost. But apart from that, it's given us a nice instant bit of storage. Next job is going to be to sort out the gap at the top, just to make sure nothing falls down. Get those shelves varnished so that they can sit back in there and work out what I'm going to do. Like I said, drawers will follow in the future once I've worked out what I want. Of course, no doors yet. Doors, I'm thinking I'm probably just going to cheat. I'm just going to do slabs, so 18mm ply cut to size, spend a bit of time getting the edges smooth and do a bit of a router edge on there, just a round over, and then varnish them, and that'll be it, just on nice hinges, and we don't have to worry too much about making shaker doors. Of course, maybe in the future that would be an idea, but for now it needs to be functional, keep the dust out and keep the junk in. We will have a little bit more of an update on the house hunt / sale progress at the weekend, and that will be probably Saturday or Sunday's video. But I'm going to leave it here, turn the lights off and forget about all the mess, and we'll pick this up next week. Hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't subscribed, then do so now. Make sure you click the bell symbol and then you won't miss anything. Thanks for watching. Remember, if you can, do it yourself, and we'll see you next time.